Hello everyone. In these lecture series, we will try to get a basic understanding and conceptual clarity regarding various anthropological theories and concepts. The idea is to provide a brief overview and simplify the concepts for each and every one of you. So we will start with the theory of classical evolutionism. So what is classical evolutionism? Classical evolutionism was one of the first theories of anthropology, and it explains the genesis and growth of cultural phenomena. Okay, and it is also the first effort to make a scientific discipline of anthropology. So it had some basic assumptions and postulates, which were: first major one was the unilinear evolution. So what does unilinear evolution mean? It means that the various cultures of the world pass through different successive development stages in a unilinear fashion. So what is unilinear fashion? Culture from stage A will move to stage B and will move to stage C. This will be the direction of cultural change. And it was usually from a simple society to a complex one, from homogeneity to heterogeneity, and from indefinite cultural phenomena to a definite cultural phenomena. Another major assumption is the psychic unity of mankind. So, what is psychic unity? Psychic unity states that each and every human being, regardless of the location, has a similar mental state, due to which human beings across the world pass through similar stages of development. Similar stages of development. So now the question arises is, why did this theory develop? The one of the major reasons for the development of classical evolution theory was as a response to encounter with different cultures, that it was a byproduct of exploration. And one of the first major theorists was E.B. Tylor, the man here, E.B. Tylor, in his work Primitive Culture, 1871. So what did E.B. Tylor theorize? So E.B. Tylor states that all societies pass the stages of development from savagery to barbarism to civilization. Now this is a unilinear evolution from savagery, which is the lowest stage of development, then barbarism, a higher form, and then the highest form, which is the civilization. And he points out that progress is possible for all, and variation between different societies is because different contemporary societies are at a different stage of evolution. So simpler contemporary societies reflect the ancient ones. So the societies currently at the stage of savagery are actually the ones which reflect the ancient societies. And due to the psychic unity, different societies often find same solution to the same problem, but independently. So the societies in savagery will find same solution and reach to barbarism, but independent from each other. And similarly, he said that religion evolved from animism to polytheism to monotheism. This we might study separately in the topic of religion. Now, the second important theorist in classical evolution school was L.H. Morgan, in his work Ancient Society, 1877. So what he did was, the basic postulate was same, but he subdivided savagery and barbarism into lower, middle, upper. Similarly, lower, middle, upper, and then the highest form was civilization. And he detailed the various characteristics of each of these stages. So, lower savagery was based on consumption of fruits, nuts, and middle was based on use of fire, fishing. Upper was based on use of bow and arrow. These were the major cultural traits. Similarly, at lower barbarism, the main cultural trait was pottery. In middle, it was the domestication of animals. In upper, it was iron smelting. And civilization was marked by writing, phonetics, settled lifestyle. And the evolution happened from this to this, from this to this, and so on and so forth. Morgan also extended his theory to evolution of families and government and evolution of descent group. So he states that earlier there was promiscuity, then there was matrilineal descent groups, then there was patrilineal descent group. The reason being that in the stage of promiscuity, paternity is never certain. So one could trace descent through their matrilineal lineage. But as society progressed, wealth and resources usually stayed with the male, so the lineage changed to patrilineal lineage. So similarly, he had various views regarding the evolution of government, of family, and these one can study in their notes or any other standard textbook. Now, lastly, we will study about James Frazer. James Frazer was another theorist of the classical evolution school, and he had two major works. One was the Golden Bow or Golden Bow, and second was Totemism and Exogamy. So he mainly focused on the study of souls, on the study of magic, religion, science, and he gave his evolutionary scheme as magic led to religion, led to science. So how did this evolution take place? Now, as per Fraser, early man believed primarily in magic. When human mind progressed, realized that it is fairly helpless, and the laws of magic, such as the law of similarity and the law of contact, this we might cover in the topic of religion later on. So these did not work, and it led to a conviction that a higher supernatural force governed the universe. So what would be this supernatural force? It was religion. And after the stage of religion, the scientific stage developed, and he called it the highest stage of mankind, the highest stage. And it was closely related to magic, but with correct laws. So, magic plus correct laws gave us religion. And Fraser even went on to call magic as the bastard sister of science or pseudoscience. So, having read the basics about this theory and the various theorists, we can certainly see that there are many limitations or critique of what they postulated or what they argued. So, one of the major critique against it that it was empirically flawed. And what was the reason behind that? because they did not do any field work or any data collection, or there was no evidence regarding what they postulated. So they were armchair anthropologists. What they did was sit at their home, give have a have something in their mind, put it into a theory, and argue that that's how culture evolved. And another major critique or limitation was their ethnocentric bias. Ethnocentric bias. So we have seen how Morgan or Tyler have argued that every society could reach the level of civilization, and they called the primitive societies as savage or barbarous. So this shows their ethnocentric bias or their Eurocentric bias, where they considered their own civilization or their own culture as the highest stage of development. And this also led to cultural hegemony and justified the colonialism that was taking roots at that time. They were also, like, since they were ethnocentric, calling primary society as savage, they were also charged to be racist. Now, another issue is with this theory was that there were too many broad generalizations. Like we have seen in Morgan, if you could just go, like he argues that every society will go from lower to middle to upper, lower to middle to upper. But when we study out Polynesians, we will realize that they are stuck in a progress trap. Why? Because they never made pottery, but they had their society was very advanced. Their socio-political traits were very advanced. So these could not be applied to specific societies, and they were very broad and generalized kind of assumption. Now they also ignored diffusion and migration among different cultures. They cannot account for cultural variation. Why a specific trait developed at a culture at a place and did not at other, or the differences between the different cultural traits among different societies. And by the end of 20th century, classical evolution had almost died, and this is largely rejected today. And we must always remember that different societies are really different, and not just same society at different level of development. So with this, I think we'll see you in the next lecture, in which we'll study about diffusionism. Thank you all of you. Please leave a feedback or a review of this lecture. Thank you.